Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Yimmy Connected. It's our opportunity to join each other and learn more about folks in our community who are doing more, who are leading our community. We are joined often by business leaders or leaders in journalism, as well as leaders in the industry who can help provide you guidance. And this is your opportunity to connect with them. And today I'm joined by Dr. Sandy Eveleth, who is an optometrist, but then broke out and did more in business development and digital marketing, and has scores of folks who turn to her for resources and advice and guidance. And I'm honored to be joined with her today. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Dr. Sandy Eveleth. Dr. Sandy Eveleth, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And I was jamming out to that intro music. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's done in-house. We try to do everything here in-house. I had the blessed opportunity to be in the music industry years ago, and of course that never leaves you. So last year around this time, I dropped a single called "Stop Counting," and ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave a link to it here in the chat as well as in the description. But yeah, so I opened the show with it because it makes sense to me, and it's such a great way to bring in such an awesome guest as yourself. Thank you for joining me today. Happy Saturday. We're walking into a new year, the holiday season. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fabulous, very, very energized, and just as excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me on the show. Love it, love it, love it. Love you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so cool to have you here. Now, I want to talk more and share your story with everyone, because enough about, the day and all that kind of stuff. I want to talk to everyone about who you are and what a gift you are to the community. One of the things that has happened for so many people is their lives have changed. And over the past 2 years, we've seen a lot of people make changes in their lives to try to find a new way forward. Since the pandemic hit, it had such a great impact on businesses, great impact on people's personal lives, great impact on education, so on and so forth, including politics. And so one of the things that folks have been looking for are answers to how to succeed in this day and time. And one of the things that I loved about learning about you is that you provide a lot of guidance for folks looking to move their way forward. And so I'm excited to share more about your story. So let's start with that. Tell us about who you are, where you're from, and how you got started. What got you here today?
Sure, would love to. Absolutely. So as you said, and not too many people get to pronounce my name correctly, but you did. You did a great job. So
awesome.
It's awesome. I am Dr. Sandy Eveleth, and I'm from Massachusetts originally. And if you get me around some fellow Bostonians, that accent will come out pretty strong. So
awesome.
you may only hear one or two words that sort of eke out that accent. But I did move to Fort Myers, Florida. I actually went back and forth between Fort Myers first of all, as a preteen, and then back down in my 20s. So I was there for about 20 to 23 years. And then I'm now in Tampa, Florida. Sunny Florida. I would not want to live
Tampa
anywhere. Oh, it's great.
I do. Awesome. You guys, awesome. And then you guys are close to Siesta Key as well. Ooh.
Yes. All things Florida. I could not take those cold winters anymore. I went to school up in Boston. I went to Boston College. And for you older folks, I actually was blessed to have Doug Flutie in a couple of my classes, for anyone that knows football and is around my age. So that was one of my claims to fame. But anyway, I started, I was up in Massachusetts, went to school, and I think I was either a junior or senior in undergrad. Absolutely fell in love with the math and science, had always been enthralled with that. Knew I didn't want to go to medical school, but knew I wanted to do something with the biology major. So it ended up I tell you, it just seems to happen for me throughout my entire life, but just through a chain of events that sort of fell in my lap, I ended up working for an ophthalmologist that my cousin actually got me a job for, and soon moved from doing research to going into his office where he also had an optometrist working for him. And I was doing a lot of the same tests as a technician. And I thought, wow, what he's doing looks kind of cool and kind of fun and kind of right up my alley, what I'm doing right now. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to apply to the school that's here in Boston. If I get in, great. If I don't, I'll look for something else. So, the rest is history. Obviously, I got in 30 years later. I'm still an optometrist, and absolutely fell in love with learning about the business aspect of optometry. But we'll go into that with your next question.
Now, what inspired you to grow, out of optometry and as a doctor into business development and marketing?
Well, it actually started with my own practice.
Okay.
As we're in school, we only got one, I think it was one semester of practice management,
Right.
and I really perked up with that. I absolutely love that. And many optometrists, while we're still even in school, absolutely dream about owning their own private practice.
Yeah.
And again, we just don't learn that much about it. So I happen to be one of those that wanted to open up a private practice. So after working in a corporate optometry setting, still owned the actual practice, co-owned it with my ex-partner at the time, but absolutely desired to get out of that corporate location and into a private location. So basically opened it up cold, even though we had our own database of
Right.
patients, because we were sort of ahead of the game at the time. We got into having our own medical records program. We got pretty smart. We knew, a few months ahead of time that we were thinking about leaving. So we shifted everything over into our own database, and we were able to take that with us. So once we opened up our practice, it's that whole, you hang up your shingle and you think, great, build it and they will come. And guess what? No, it might be true for the movie, but it's not true for your own private practice. So quickly realized I started to, I had to look for taking courses in business, taking courses in marketing. At the time,
Right.
it wasn't digital marketing, it was just
Right.
regular marketing. And then, of course, as early 2000s, digital marketing really started to come into play.
Right.
I learned as much as I could, and I haven't stopped learning. This is an industry that continues to change, continues to grow. So,
Technology, all those.
absolutely, absolutely. So I continue to learn. I love it. We met because of digital marketing and a particular platform that helps you with your social media marketing. And I'll let you say a little bit about what it was that I was able to help you with.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I'm sort of that person that everybody goes to. Well, how do you do this? And what's the best tool for this? And how would you market that? So we can talk about that a little bit more in just a
Well,
bit. But
and I'm glad you actually brought that up. Of course, between our regular daily lives and the things that we do, I had the opportunity to do this program, Yummy Connected, as well as do things with my music and also support a few other charitable organizations outside of just doing my normal work. And one of the digital marketing platforms that Sandy and I met each other, just networking with other folks that were doing it on that platform, is called Hello Woofy. And I had the opportunity to interview the founder of Hello Woofy for Yummy Connected. And you can find that video here on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, depending on what platform you're watching me on. So go for it. Look in there. Definitely watch the video. It's such a great platform. But Sandy and I met each other networking there, but then she and I met outside of that. And one of the things that I've learned from you, Sandy, is how to remain more organized, how to bring all of those things together. You can often find yourself being overly ambitious when you're trying to jump out there and do something. And Sandy, you have, like some great guidance on how to kind of organize that so it doesn't become overwhelming. It doesn't become such this huge bag or huge weight that you're walking with and trying to carry and not accomplishing anything. And
right.
I can admit that Dr. Sandy helped me put a few things in place to make sure I can deliver. And I thank you for that.
Sure.
One of the great reasons why I wanted to share your story was because of that. It's so needed. we find ourselves caught in the place where we want to do a lot of great things, and this is such a great opportunity to do this. And if the era of the pandemic hasn't taught us anything about how short life is and how to jump out there and seize the day, you don't want to jump out there and seize the day with a bag full of nothing. And so, Dr. Sandy, thanks for providing some value,
Sure.
and so that kind of leads me into, my next question. When the pandemic began, a great number of people left their 9 to 5s, looked at
Sure.
other job opportunities, including becoming entrepreneurs. What tips and guidance would you like to share with people looking to make their own way? And are there services you provide that might help them on their journey?
Sure, absolutely. And one of the first things I tell people when, they come to me and ask for advice, and like you said, all things getting organized, get their, thoughts in order, having systems and processes in place, is really to kind of look inside. Because, one of the big things that people faced when this kicked in was fear of the unknown. And man, that fear just absolutely grips you. It can take you over. It can paralyze you. And I think it did for so many people. We just didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know when the end was in sight. And the end really isn't in sight. We keep facing more and more challenges. But
Right.
one of the big things I do is just to try to get people, calm down and let's take action, because I know for me, that's one of the biggest things that helps me get through fear and anxiety is, okay, let's take some action. So what's one of the first things that people can take if they are making a drastic change like that, either for their, because they decided to do that or it was forced upon them?
Right.
So one of the big things I would say, and is to, instead of looking outward and grasping and where can I get the next job? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Is to really take stock, whether it's spending a day, a morning, whatever it is, whatever time you need to look inward. First of all, take stock in what is it that absolutely gives you energy.
Right.
There's a lot of conversation about finding your passion. What am I passionate about? But one of the gurus that I follow is Mel Robbins, and she has a huge following. She's got a great backstory. She's written a couple of really, really inspirational and helpful books. But she talks about it's not about finding your passion, because people then get paralyzed because they think I've already failed. They don't know what my passion is.
Right.
She said, absolutely find out, even if every day it changes, but find out what are those things that you do in your life that gives you energy. What are those things that make you either, leap out of bed, or when you're doing it, the day completely disappears. You look at the clock, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you go back and it's 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
And where did the time go? And, we'll talk about what I found for myself as well, besides helping others. But, those are the kind of things that you want to look at. Again, take a piece of paper. I say take 3 pieces of paper, blank sheets of paper, and just start brain dumping. There's no judgment.
Yes.
It's absolute true brainstorming, and just start writing. And when you start writing those things, all of a sudden more ideas come to fruition.
That's it.
So the first thing is find out, just write down those things that absolutely give you energy. And then the next thing that you want to do is write just a list of things on the second sheet of paper of all the skills that you have. It doesn't matter if it matches what you wrote on the first piece of paper. Just write things down. And for me, I know how to do websites. I know
Right.
how to do QuickBooks. I
Right.
know how to teach all of this stuff. I can do that, with ease, not even thinking twice about it. And then the third thing is look at whom you would like to serve, or if you don't even know that yet, think about what kind of problems you see online all the time. Again, we're going to be talking about online. This could also relate to offline businesses as well. But look at what problems that you can solve easily, that you know how to teach someone what to solve. And think about all of those people that come to you, just like I just mentioned for myself, and they come to you and ask you, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Because they already know that you know how to do those things. So make a list of that. And on those 3 sheets of paper, and there's a way to go into detail. I won't go into detail about this right now, but there's a way to grade it in a certain way. But you want to look at the intersection. What are the things that absolutely give you this energy? what are those same things that do give you, that you do have a skill in and where you can solve a problem in the marketplace. So it's all about, let's do the inner work first. Let's try to get out of fear. Let's not try to dwell on all the things that we can't do. By doing this, you start to, there's this feeling of calm.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do these things. I
Yeah.
do know how to do this. And, just really take stock in that. So that's one of the first things that, that I'll work with somebody on that.
I like that you said that. I like that you talked about, the folks kind of walking out of fear because, things have been uncertain. And one thing that triggers fear for a lot of folks is that uncertainty and what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to my home, what's going to happen to my children, my family, even if you don't have kids, my relationships, and so when you think about what you were just saying and putting together those notes, writing it down, what drives me, what skills do I have and what can I fix, what's out there that can I fix, and if folks sit down and they look at those three things, it kind of gives you something that's also a healthy distraction,
right?
As opposed to spending all of your time worrying about the unknown. You can spend your time focused on the known. And I like that. I like that you put those three things together.
Well, and what it does too is it starts to put you into motion. When you, I 1000% believe that fear and creativity cannot live in the same space.
They definitely cannot.
So as soon as you start spiraling down and start getting into fear, all that creativity goes out the window. So find that place where you can get into calm. And absolutely, this kind of thing does that. Taking action will all of a sudden it just automatically somehow pushes all of that aside. And I know this is true for me. And then the more people I coach and the more people I talk to, like, oh my gosh, totally. Totally. Yeah. And we need creativity to solve problems. People don't, I get this, I get very sort of 3,000-foot view. And I absolutely believe that creativity could solve the world's problems. That's where we dig into. That's where we get into coming up with, solutions that you would not have thought about if you were in this place of fear. You're going to knee jerk. You're going to be in a more of a responsive or reactive state than a proactive state.
Right. I mean, even fear, applies into stress, and stress, your brain it's acting in an irrational place. Your memory isn't that great. You're not acting on sound decisions. And so, walking into a place where you can use your creativity wisely, focused on the positive, focused on the things that drive you, focus on how you can apply what to a solution. I'm sure that helps completely. I was going to say, how did you get to that place? Like, what were your challenges? What were some of the challenges you faced?
Sure. Well, and part of it, even at my age, we're still learning. So the pandemic really kind of hit me over the head and forced me into that kind of thinking, because I ended up in the eye care industry for 2 months. We were not allowed to practice, unless we had the kind of practice. We were doing a lot of emergency, services. And it just to give you some, shed some light on what I'm doing now is, for that private practice, I'm no longer practicing there. I've actually moved out of that town. That's when I was in Fort Myers.
Okay.
So now, I'm in a situation where I was going back and just working in a corporate location. And so all of a sudden we had to shut down. So I had to get, very creative. But on the, there's part of what I know you want to talk about is I ended up having some skills I learned a long time ago that I absolutely loved, all things Adobe products. Okay. So, it started with, believe it or not, doing scrapbooking, physical scrapbooking that turned into digital scrapbooking, which turned into learning how to do page design, and that led to web design. And I opened up, a different.
If you folks that are hopping on with us, Adobe is more than just being able to see that PDF. Adobe, of course, offers a tremendous amount of resources as it relates to video editing, even recording music. And so, Dr. Sandy, I know that you're speaking about being able to hop right into that software and use your creativity as a strength.
Yeah. It was absolutely transformative because I was just in this sort of playground. I call it my digital playground of
Right.
learning how to do some of these things and then realizing that I could take those skills. And I actually started a second business besides co-owning this private practice.
Right.
I opened up, and it was actually in a physical location, a digital marketing company where I was doing a lot of web design for local businesses. And it all started from just saying, you know what, I can go over here and just have fun with this software because I love software. I always have. Um,
Now,
so it's that.
tell us the web address for that digital marketing company.
Well, it's kissyourweb.com, and my daughter helped me come up with that. Keeping internet solutions simple, KISS. So that's what I use, the KISS instead of the other acronym for KISS. But keeping internet solutions simple. But I do most of my work now over on my name. It's drsandyevlith.com,
Okay.
where I do a lot of the instruction and teaching eye care providers and other healthcare providers how to market their subspecialties. And then kissyourweb.com is more of my playground. It's sort of the, when I test things out and sort of have some of my affiliate marketing, et cetera. But it's, again, I think it goes back to the question about challenges is, once I got the courage to use the knowledge that I have with the software and actually open up a business, that was a huge, I stepped way out of my comfort zone to create this business
Right.
and running up against a lot of my competitors who all they had been doing was design. And I thought, you know what, let me just give it a shot because I've already created some websites for some friends of mine and they absolutely loved it. I
Yeah.
thought, why not make a business out of it?
Right.
So I did that. I've moved away from the do it for you,
Right.
as I think you and I've talked about in the past, and I just absolutely love doing it with you or coaching you through what the appropriate strategies are for your business, the marketing and business development
I can
strategies
I
are.
can only imagine that probably helped tremendously with your efficiency.
Yeah,
Because they're doing it for you. You're while you might be extremely successful at doing that, you're unable to do it for yourself at the same time.
right.
So guiding folks through it, especially if you know how, and I can attest to it. I'm sure has improved your ability to do it for more.
Right. And I think too, my passion or where I get my energy, I discovered pretty quickly on that it's in the teaching and the training.
Right.
I love the aha moments. I love the, when someone comes back and says, I can't believe I never knew this before. I can't believe it. Even if it's for business owners, and a lot of small business owners are solopreneurs, so they do have their hands in almost everything.
Right.
Even if they do have a web designer or a marketing agency, if they have the budget for it, I like to help them decide what they need to look out for. So if they're hiring a new agency or if there's something wrong with their website, I can go in there and quickly diagnose it, make a recommendation, and then they can take that to their web designer. Because sometimes it's just knowing the language of digital marketing to be able to communicate that with the folks that are doing the work for you. So I think it's important. It's that anyone that owns a business really should know all aspects of the business.
It makes sense.
And yeah, so
now I want to talk about your wins. What are some of the wins you've walked away with? And I know that we're coming close to the top of the hour. Let's get through your wins, but I'm excited to share even some of your other work, and it may even be included in your answer here.
sure. Well, the big win, is one of them is leaving a legacy for my daughter. For those of us that have children, we understand that's the biggest win that we could ever have. And I think for her, it's showing her this entrepreneurial side and being able to realize that just because, you may go to school for one thing, life is a journey. It's a constant learning and changing. And the pandemic showed, I don't know, millions and millions of people that we can do these things. It's the great resignation. There's a few other names for it, but people are realizing that if they want to work from home, they can. If they want to create online courses, they can. If they want, there's all kinds of ways that they can actually make money online. Again, one of the things I can help teach people about. But, in one respect, there's never a better time to be alive. The advent of the internet has allowed
Right.
anyone to become a business owner if they would like to do that, if they like
A
to
lot of the challenges that once were in play are no longer there, and so you have different hurdles now, of course, and I'm
sure.
glad you're here to share how you can guide folks through them. But the hurdles aren't the same as they once were, and the internet provides this ultimate connectivity, not just with your own community, but even with the world. And just to give you guys some reference to that, I am in Washington D.C. metro area, and Dr. Sandy Evelyn is down in Tampa, Florida. And as much as I wish I was down there in Florida,
Right now.
you know, but it's awesome that you and I have been able to develop this relationship and move forward together while not even being in the same community, but in our own community, as it relates to digital marketing and reaching out to folks. Tell us about your filmmaking. One of the things that's so awesome about you is that you're so multi-talented. You're working on a film, or you've been working on a film, and then also that'll also lead me into my next question with you.
Sure. Well, it's part of one of the great wins, and it had to do with this learning Adobe software. I've been ever since it came out. I've been working with Photoshop, and then I learned how to do movie making and film editing, and it ended up being that yet another opportunity fell in my lap to help co-produce, but also be the film editor for a movie called Because of Sam. And it's an amazing project. It's already done. It's, we're coming up. We've got a educational program for it as well. So anyone that wants to teach diversity and inclusion in the workplace, we highly recommend that they look at the program, and I'll give you certainly the links for that.
Right.
But it's about learning that people with disabilities are highly capable of being in the workforce. And a good part of the movie discusses Sam. He's the star of the movie, obviously, because of Sam. He's a young man who was born with Down syndrome, an incredible young man. And he's this amazing rock star that his family has tremendously supported, the community, and it's in Tampa. That's, part of how I got involved with it. He works right up the street at a PDQ restaurant, and they're in the film, and they're talked about quite a bit because of their involvement in having Sam work for them, and also their involvement with Best Buddies and his involvement, and also with several other organizations. But it's just it was an incredible opportunity to not be afraid, to go ahead and step out of my comfort zone, to do things that I never thought I would do, to learn all about filmmaking. So there will be a course on learning how to do an independent movie,
Yeah.
including all the legal that goes along with it.
Yeah.
The co-producer or the producer of the film learned all of that in having to put all of that together. But it's just an exciting project because not only it's a independent film, it's a documentary. It's not done like a regular documentary. We actually made it to flow like a movie. There's no narrator. The movie speaks for itself.
Nice.
And it just touches on so many things that anyone who has a family member or with a disability, or anyone that wants to step out of their comfort zone and fulfill their dreams. If they watch this movie, they're going to be very inspired to go do something that they never thought that they could, because Sam does that every single day. And now we're working on the project. There's an amazing story about the end of the movie. There's a song that's a sports anthem, and there's a piece of it in the film, but it's a 4-minute song, and we're now creating the music video for it. So you being in the music industry can appreciate this, and I'm sure off camera we'll talk more about that. But it's a beautiful song. It's very upbeat. It's again, the story behind making the song is incredible. But we just finished doing the shoot dates, so now we have all the footage that we're going through, and we're hoping to launch it in the beginning of the year. So that's exciting. And
now you talked a lot about giving back and the importance of raising awareness. That leads me into one of the things that we love to do on every Yimmy Connected episode is what's called a charity shout out. And each of our guests that come on, they share the charity they want to do the charity shout out for, and so we try to raise awareness for that specific charity. And in this holiday giving season, we'd love to recognize the charity you want to shout out.
That's sweet. That's awesome. I have two, if that's okay, if I share a couple
That's
of them.
perfect.
The first one is I'm going to do, because of the movie, because of Sam's involvement, is actually Gigi's Playhouse is what it's called. It's GIGI' Playhouse. He's very involved in being both, a participant as well as a teacher. He actually I think he's taught karate there, but so he helps them with doing that kind of stuff. And he just loves it. They've been tremendous in helping us with creating both the movie or being involved in us being able to go and shoot at the location. We have one here in Tampa, and then they actually helped us with one of the shoot dates for doing the music video. So it's called Gigi's Playhouse. So that's one of them. Nice. And then the other one is my mom, who was my best friend, mentor, lived right next door to us, has since passed away, but she was my best friend. She gave to St. Jude's Children's Hospital for years. She got involved in their monthly giving program. So I'm really excited about what they do as well. So those are the two.
Yeah, St. Jude is definitely always one that we give to as well. But and thanks for raising awareness on this. One of the things that we love to do and like to try to express is the importance of giving back, especially during this this period in time. So I'm going to put up the shout out right now. Charity shout out for today's episode is Gigi's Playhouse. I'll go ahead and share the screen there, but there's
one in Tampa too. I'm sorry. gigisplayhouse.org/Tampa, I think is the local one.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's awesome.
So I'll do the Tampa one just to help folks understand and see. And I'll share my screen with you guys out there so you can see Gigi's Playhouse. So tell us about a little bit more about Gigi's Playhouse, especially the one there in Tampa. And I know you were sharing some with us, but I wanted to know, was it something that you noticed more when you guys did the movie?
I didn't know anything about it. I'll be honest with you. I had no knowledge of what it was. And there's even one that started down where I had lived for 20 years down in Fort Myers. So until I met Sam, I knew nothing about Gigi's Playhouse. In fact, with the Tampa one, you might even see his face on there because he's so involved. But I didn't know about it. And I think he's in that picture. And they just opened their hearts and minds to allowing us to come in there and, like I said, shoot a full day of interviews for the movie itself, and then again for the music video.
Right.
And they're involved with helping. I know it's, children born with Down syndrome. It might also include intellectual developmental disabilities, but they create all of these activities, and I'm not going to do it justice, but they, please go on the website and see what they do. But it's just, they have so many resources there for families that a lot of times, and this is what our movie helps to bring to, to the masses, is to understand how many resources are out there for families and parents of children who are born with either Down syndrome or other intellectual developmental disabilities. There's just so much out there, and a lot of parents don't know where to start. It's they don't always know that that's going to be a challenge that they're going to face.
Right, exactly.
And this is what we're trying to bring forward with the film, is to show that, listen, there's an incredible community out there. Your children are going to absolutely not just survive, but thrive. And here's an example of, a life that is well lived, and a family and a community that just has been there to help and support. So there you go. Thank you. And there's our man. He's about to meet in that scene, he's about to meet one of his favorite WWE superstars.
That's so awesome.
Titus O'Neil. So he's in Tampa too. So he was featured in the film as well.
That's so awesome.
And he won Homecoming King. That's how the producer of the show first learned about him. Gosh, it's now going back about 11 or 12 years.
Wow.
He was on the front page of a certain section of the newspaper, and she saw that article and jumped off the couch and said, "I've got to make a movie about this. I don't even know how to make a movie. I don't know what it takes, but I've got to make a movie." Yes.
Well, I look forward to checking it out. I look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing more of you. I can't thank you enough for joining me here on Yumi Connected, and I'm excited that we can share your resources with folks out there, and that we got a chance to tell your story. Thank you, Dr. Sandy Eveleth, and thank you all for joining us today to Yumi Connected. We're excited you got to join us, and we look forward to seeing you at the top of the year. Have a wonderful holiday season, as well as a wonderful new year. Be safe out there. Do what you got to do. Wash those hands. Keep it clean. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We have the contact information right there in the link, as well as information related to about Sam and the resources that Dr. Sandy Eveleth provides. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day.